vote for Tim O'Connor, 'cause he believes in the Constitution. And as your assemblyman, he will be your voice. He'll never let you down, make Tim the choice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We finally had a man who hears your voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Tim O'Connor is the only choice. Write in Tim O'Connor, Libertarian, for New York State Senate, Senate District 51.
Hey guys, it's November 3rd, 2020. It's election day, guys. It's a big deal. We're at the finish line. The race that I ran, the race that Trump ran, the race that Thomas Daniel Queter ran, the race that Dwayne Whitmer ran, the race that Joe Biden ran, the race that Joe Jorgensen ran. Guys, it's it. This is it. It's over. This tension that we've built over the last few months, this excitement, this hope for a better future. Guys, on some level, we got to know that we achieved a better future just by being politically active. What's up, brother? My man Andrew Hamill in the house early tonight. Thank you. Buenos dias, doing a little Spanish. I think that means good day. And it is a good day. It is. I don't know how many people, but I don't think the number of people is what's important. But so many, guys, so many people have reached out to me and told me that they voted for me, that they took the time to write in my name and help make a difference. Yeah, to help make a difference in the way we look at governance in New York State. Tori Alexander, Victoria Alexander, New York 19, guys. She was on the show Sunday night, right? This fight doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning. Guys, I developed this whole cadre, this whole group of people that want freedom, that want liberty, that realize, guys, we're as awake as we've ever been in our entire lives, that what's been going on, especially in New York State, is not governance. It's virtue signaling, it's platitude signaling, and it's ignorance of economics, guys. Okay. The number one metric in New York State that's been far too long ignored is people are leaving at an alarming rate. Thank you, Robert Glebe. Yes, and if I by some miracle get elected, our issues, your issues, my issues, the things that you and I shared on my page, okay, the father's rights, the parents' rights, the flaws in the family court system, those things, I will work hard to make people hear me, guys, like nobody else has ever worked at this stuff. This stuff chases our kids out of here the way that our family court runs. We have to move to a presumption of shared custody. We have to. Every other state in the country's moved to it. The states that have it are growing, guys. That's the bottom line. That's the metric, man. Bring people back to New York with freedom and liberty and happiness, guys. And that's where New York's failing. We try too hard to force our neighbors to signal their virtue. We've tried too hard. That's the bottom line. But guys, check this out, right? Success, Trump success, Biden success. Success is not final, okay? And guys, here's the bigger part. For me especially, and for you, failure is not fatal, man. Failure is not fatal. It's courage to continue that counts. That's why I did this. Those are things we try to teach our kids on a wrestling mat before they get on a wrestling mat. You guys know it. You've seen it on their jerseys. Success is not final, but failure is not fatal, guys. And that's why we did this. That's why we reached out. We found a group of people. We did the work, man. We did the work, and that's okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And my wife is in the house tonight. Why aren't you home? What are you doing out there supporting your man, right? Well, he talks to the internet. I love it. But there's a bigger thing that happened. There's a huge thing that happened in Senate District 51. between we had Victoria Alexander, and guys, they stuck their thumb in my eye. They proved I didn't know who I was, and that I didn't know where I lived after I did the hard work of getting signatures from libertarians to put my name on the ballot. That's what they did. It's a cheesy nonsense, partisan. And guys, they say bipartisan, and in New York State level, they mean the two parties and the two parties only. These guys, these people, these laws, guys, we've got to change them, and we're going to change them. On that note, guys, I don't know, man. Should I retire from doing these popping off about politics things? Should I just give it a rest? I don't know. Humor me, guys. Should we keep going? Should we keep talking to each other on the internet? Should we keep having events? And like this Saturday coming up in Albany, guys, there's a rally. A group of people are going to get together. They're going to have some really wonderful speakers to talk about the situation in New York. And if I don't miss my guess, Victoria Alexander is going to be one of them. Is that correct? All right, there's 2 votes. Guys, there we go. There we go. That's it, guys. See, and that's the thing, man. That's what makes it worth it. The people are hearing this message and sharing it with their friends and doing this style of communication. And guys, I think as we move forward, because it's an election cycle, I had some people that wanted to come on the show, but then maybe change their minds. I think once we get past the election, I'm going to have some incredibly interesting guests. I'm not even kidding. I had a guy out in Portland that wanted to come on and talk about what was going on in Portland back in the middle of the Chad stuff. And then he's like, maybe I better not, and it would have been a blast to have him on. And as we see, whatever happens today, whatever the final tallies are, whoever gets elected, okay, people will be more comfortable coming on. George Narich of the family, what the heck? Well, anyways, he's a hemp grower over in New Berlin, near New Berlin, Mount Vision area. He was going to come on. We couldn't sync up our schedules. There wasn't really enough time. But guys, he flat out, we had a conversation about what happened in Otsego County with he had a big event. And so the county like foreclosed on the property that he was having the big event on because of the owner of that property. Some of the details are going to come out. Some of them are going to work out. But basically, the county foreclosed on the property. So the people had the event on county property. The county didn't evict anyone. The sheriffs, and guys, this is why I don't jump right on the libertarian train excuse me for saying that. I think that there's been some miscommunications, but I'm not anti-police officer. I think that there's a couple of better systems that we could implement in our government that would make policing more effective for police officers, and we can still like treat them like human beings and recognize their importance. Okay, so the sheriffs in Otsego County didn't write one ticket. Okay, that, as far as I could tell, they wrote one ticket, and that was against George Narich. But I think that he's going to probably be able to work his way around that, or get off with not a lot of trouble. Okay, thank you, Shelly. Thank you, guys. I have a list of Freedom Warriors, and so far the people that are commenting are on that list of Freedom Warriors, and I love that, man. I love it. Thank you, Dakota. And you keep going, man. Like a young guy doing the hard work of raising a family in New York State and doing the job of trying to grow a business and producing food for his friends. Guys, I don't think there's anything more important than that. Okay, I don't think there's anything more important than going to Dakota. And however he wants to sell you his product, guys, work out a deal with him and do it, man. Help him stay in business. He wants to be a direct to market, direct to his neighbor kind of guy, okay? And so help him with that, man. We've filled our freezer a number of times with beef from our friends, and it's always paid off. Always. Yes, let's keep this train. Yes, keep it rolling, keep it growing. I do. Really? Sometimes when we disagree on things, that's not exactly what I hear from you. I love you, baby. Thank you for all your support for this whole event, guys. Months long of me campaigning, months long of me going on the internet, months long of me traveling around New York State, hanging out with Larry Sharp and hanging out with Thomas Daniel Queter and just doing these things that are important. Okay, that communication and I saw Keto. Where'd you put it? The wokeness, guys. What's real woke? Okay, is realizing that we're not being represented by our current system of governance. That's real wokeness. Okay. When the two guys I'm running against, number one, guys, I actually have a better degree, I have a better pedigree than them. And I don't want to, because they're good guys. They've been involved in the community too. So I'm not like trying to put them down, but I actually understand economics. I actually understand the most important metric that neither one of them, guys, and if the Fed shares that I get, the shares that listen to me right now, the number one metric that you guys have not talked about is the fact that our children leave this state for economic opportunity elsewhere. That is, guys, if you don't start talking about that, well, first of all, I'm not going away anyway. You better start talking about that, and that's what I'm telling you to start talking about, period. And when the votes get tallied and you realize I got a pretty significant number of votes, you need to change. All of you, Democrats, Republicans, all of you need to change that optic. You need to start talking about how people are leaving because we don't have economic opportunity. Guys, controlling farmers more isn't going to create economic opportunity. Legalizing marijuana, hemp, and cannabis so that it benefits the state with state dispensaries and taxation and stuff like that, that is not going to grow our local economies, okay? Deregulation of our local economy. Stop treating farmers like they're slaves to our state. Start treating them like entrepreneurs and human beings, and we're going to have some fantastic results. Because these farmers, they can't do hardly anything with their property to develop it without losing their somewhat, and guys, their taxes aren't low, but if they develop any pieces of their property, they lose their agricultural exemption on their property taxes. And that kind of nonsense has killed this state, killed farming, and chased people out of here, period. We could have the best food system from top to bottom right in New York State, okay? But we don't, because the government messes it up, period. Okay, do you guys understand that? Do you believe that? That's absolutely real, all right? Yeah, let's put this up here. I know, Shelly, and I know that you lost your nephew, and he was a police officer, and it was in an act of violence. I know all of those things, and that is a problem with the philosophical nature of the Libertarian Party. We seize on an idea, and instead of having conversations about it, we take the philosophical extreme. All right, guys, and that's a problem in the Libertarian Party. All right, philosophical extremism is a problem. It's a problem in all parties, okay? But it's a real problem there because cops are human beings. I'm telling you right now that there are cops that are police officers, guys. I don't even want to use it. They are libertarian minded. They believe in our rights to own guns. They know they can't be everywhere when something goes wrong. They know they can't. They don't even want to try. And guys, let's give them credit. Okay, we all hate those nuisance tickets. Okay, let's fight nuisance. Let's fight nuisance tickets. Okay, let's fight them. Let's tell these guys they got to stop this stuff. All right. So let's do this. Let's work down through some comments, and then there's a whole bunch more people I want to do shout outs to. And here's one of them, Ryan Bedford, my brother. All right, thank you very much. Yes, happy election day. It was a monumentous life event for me. Deciding to run and then redeciding to commit to running, regardless of the fact that I got literally cheated by a hyper technicality. It should be embarrassing that they did this to me. It should be embarrassing that the Board of Elections stood so firmly against me because, guys, I'm nobody. They have rules and regulations because of people pay to get signatures. People pay $4 or $5 per signature on a line, and then. So a guy who's successful and knows a lot of people could sit at his desk and fill out the paperwork and make a lot of money because he knows no one's going to complain about those signatures. That's technically fraud, right? So they make these laws to protect against fraud, and all these laws really end up doing this bipartisan nonsense that they pull, okay? This screws your voice up, our voice up. So the only way to fix it, guys, is to step outside that box, no matter who you are. And guys, the gold voters that I know, you are already outside of the box. There's a whole other group of people that are way outside, that went way outside the box this election cycle. And they're going to get shout outs tonight too, period. They are the energy that they generated amongst themselves for me and for Ola Hawatma. Guys, it was beautiful. It was epic, man. It was just that's how politics is supposed to be done. Don't take what the duopoly sells you. Don't take what those big party bosses tell you. Fight your battles, and that's what's worth it. That's how we change it. That's how we bring our kids back. That's how we get them to stay here. I don't know that any polls were done with Queter. Maybe polls, guys. Let's talk about polls for a second. Polls are something that's bought and sold, and they're associated with mainstream media. Okay, it's not. This isn't a joke. I'm not saying it like I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is reality. Okay, polls are bought and sold as a part of the mainstream media. Now, did Queter? He did wonderful because of all the libertarians out there, all of the people that want to see a change in governance. He did a great job raising money. Now, did he ever have enough money to actually buy a poll? No. Would Fred Akshar buy a poll in the race against Queter? No, because that's only going to popularize Queter. Okay, seriously, that's how that works. So Akshar probably didn't buy a poll. So is WKTV going to sponsor a poll? Is the Shenango County Candidates Forum going to sponsor a poll to see? No, they don't have the money for that. Polls cost $30,000, $40,000. Okay, even for a race that's like about 200 and covering an area, a population of about 230,000 people. Okay, so I don't know that he's got any poll coverage, Ellie. That's the thing. Libertarians don't have the kind of money to force polls. So that's how that works, guys. The political media complex is real. And I stole that from Thomas Massie, and I'm glad he won. He's a guy that should be in office. He does the hard work. He points out the I want to say ridiculousness. There's probably absurdity. Okay. He points out the absurdity of, and I complain about the absurdity of the lack of representation that we're getting in New York State. He points out the absurdity of the lack of representation that you're getting on the federal level. Okay. He's like, guys, I don't even know where the laws come from. No one writes them. Somebody from Trump's office or somebody from Pelosi's office says, here, this is the bill we're voting on. No one gets any time to read it. You should check out his work on Twitter. It's really, really funny. He's a great guy. And of all the people I could care less about, Thomas Massie is one guy that I'm glad that won. Period. He's a straight shooter. He's hilarious. And also he likes my tweets on Twitter sometimes. Thank you, brother. And well, yeah, hanging out with you guys. And that's the thing. The next election cycle isn't going to be as restrictive as this. We will have this events where people can gather. The weekend that I did that, the COVID apocalypse happened in Oneonta. We went from having 100 cases in the county to 600 cases overnight, like 600 more cases overnight. So like nobody was going to come to that at that moment. It was really, and it was even for me and having my mom there and Dr. Sweet there was a little bit nerve wracking, you know? But yeah, I didn't kick your ass. I mean, I won, you know, I won. I am undefeated at Liberty Cornhole. I am. And I think I'm going to be able to maintain that unless we step up our games, unless like Levi Little starts showing up. Okay, let's move down through. I know you don't, honey. I know. I do I think I've worked on it. It's not the weather, man. It's economic opportunity. Yes, and guys, this having that conversation with Robert Force and people realizing how, if you have an unpolitical, you know, unpopular political opinion, that the county can come in and take your land just for being behind in taxes just a little bit. After spending $200,000 fixing up a farm, $100,000 buying a farm, they can sell it on the open market for $40,000 when you owe $20,000 and you get no money. You get none of that extra money. Yeah, I love you too, Todd. And our show, we can do another show in the future. Our show together was great. It was well attended. People checked it out. Thank you very much for doing that. And we'll do another one. It was fun. They are a private service and they are linked to the political media complex. These are facts, man. These are facts. I see somehow my thing like glitched down. Mitch McConnell won. I honestly, Mitch McConnell is okay. He's a swamp creature, guys. A little bit, okay. Like, yes, he talks the talk about smaller government, but then votes for bigger government, and Rand Paul took a couple shots at him, and they're from the same state. So yeah, I mean, whatever. Brad Barron put on a good show on Kentucky, made Mitch nervous. Mitch had to step up his game. That's the other thing that libertarians offer. Okay, it's not that they can stop the production, the agricultural production, but right now what they're doing is they're going to force farmers to put in a greenway between where they grow their crops. Okay, grow their crops, and so they're going to lose developing land. And instead of them being able to develop that land into, like let's say they wanted to build a few houses as part of this greenway, right? They can't really do that because then they lose their low agricultural production property taxes, and it's a problem. Yeah, I know. I was talking about that. Yeah, the revenue increases, the things that we're going to see. Let's hope we don't. Okay, let's hope they really start listening to that. These nuisance tickets that I actually have a bunch of nuisance tickets right now. I had a faulty front headlight, and maybe my inspection sticker got overlooked. Whatever. Yes, but it's a philosophical anarchism. They a lot of them take that. They go to the extreme, right? They go to the extreme. That's the problem. And it's like how AOC eventually got elected as a Democrat, or we have extreme socialists, and the Green Party managed to they had what you would call socialists and communists, the Green Party, right? And Howie Hawkins was still a good mouthpiece for them, because Howie Hawkins guy's wicked smart. Okay, it's just, and he's a pro 2A, so he's got two things that go for him. He's wicked smart and he's pro 2A, like unequivocally pro 2A. Okay, like you want a tank? Okay, have a tank. All right, make decisions at a local level. He wants everything to be, put up for referendum, every single thing. But he all wants everything to be green and stuff like that. So that the Green Party very successfully managed to pull the Democratic Party to the left. That's why the Green Party that's why the Green Party is suffering. There's not that they've been able to move to the center of the Democratic Party, Yes. Shell, if you want to answer that, that's good. I think that I do see where ending qualified immunity would not only help good police officers be good police officers, but it would also help us where we have a malicious judge, or we have a malicious, even I think it could go as low as like a malicious like tax assessor, right? If you can't get a good because you make the tax assessor mad or something like that, that person could then be sued for their bad behavior. Right now, if you try to sue anybody that's in this little bureaucratic legislator kind of thing, you're going to get nowhere. It's going to cost you money. People are going to get mad at you. But if we end qualified immunity and we're suing an insurance policy that these guys have to pay for, on some level, we'll pay for the insurance policy, right? If they're elected or if they're hired to serve, we'll pay for the insurance policy. But then the unions would be motivated, especially with the police, to find ways of getting rid of bad police officers. And I think most of my police officer friends would admit that in some areas there are bad police officers, and it would be better for them to have a mechanism with which to get rid of them. Yes, polls are a private service. I called that. Yes. Ryan would be for qualified immunity, and he would have had the low. See, that's exactly right, guys. It's as we make these conversations more available to our friends, as we have these conversations over and over again and politely as best we can with people, we're going to get to where they understand the concept. But when these conversations, and guys, these conversations started over the whole George Floyd thing, and it was like, it is a better solution, but the timing of talking about the solution, if we keep talking about the solution, if I say to you guys, give me more votes next time, and I will end qualified immunity, because that will help my police officer friends self-police and get rid of bad police officers, and it will help get rid of bad tax assessors, and will help get rid of, and Robert, I know we've talked about this, bad judges, guys. There's bad judges in the family court system that everything's expedience. No one gets sued. No one gets prosecuted for, perjury anymore, ever. But never, ever do they get prosecuted for perjury in family court. Never. And they should, because now the first perjurer and the worst perjurer gets an advantage in family court. That is an absolute reality. And we need to fix that, because on some level, we could start a polling business. That might be fun. Yeah. Let's start pushing Larry Sharp for governor. Yes. He won't. He won't. He's he needs to see from us certain things, right? He needs to see infrastructure from us. He needs to see party growth, guys, from us. And yes, he would be. I hope he does. I hope we can talk him into it. I hope we can convince him. Yes, Larry Dose. I see you're out there. Okay, all right. That I can't put up on my. And he's being sarcastic, guys. Okay, like he does not. That's where the anarchy comes in. That's where the extreme positions, people that argue this, and guys, I respect the fact that people are willing to take that extreme position and have that conversation. I respect it. Okay, because wars that we have fought have done nothing to help our credibility overseas, and it's hurt our children, guys. We send our kids over there, man. It's nonsense. Stop it. I know he hasn't followed me back. He just ends up liking some of my. He just ends up liking some of my tweets because, especially ones that I put on his page. Like if you catch one of his things early, when he's what's he called, getting sassy with Massey, he'll like it, and he admits to seeing some tweets from certain people. So he must. And he is a good guy. I know you're sorry, brother. And I know what you're saying. I understand that. All of us, most of us, almost everyone I talk to wants less interaction overseas. We don't want to pick up the bill for NATO. We don't want to be like listening to those guys complain about our health insurance, costs while they're getting free military protection to protect their borders from the United States and NATO. No, I'm so done listening to that. Like I can't even tell you guys. We've got our kids over there protecting their borders and keeping things chill and like putting our kids at risk. And they're like, oh, you guys need, free insurance like us. And it's like, you're kind of selfish, man, and you need to shut your mouths. So that's how I feel about it. I hope you guys don't mind. Yes, he is kind of a swamp rhino. Yes. We're feudal. We're becoming every time they raise taxes in New York State and all over the country. Okay. We become more and more feudalistic. We're in service. Our land is owned by our governments, our county governments right now in New York State. And they need to step up their game as far as being nicer because they're chasing people out of here. Yes. And as you guys know, I don't dislike Trump as far as he is and has done and at least showed the way and at least pandered to libertarian ideals. Okay. He wants to end wars. He wants us to be energy independent. And that's one way of ending wars. He did stick his thumb right in the eye of the funding, guys. He stuck his thumb in the eye of the duopoly and their funding stream from Big Pharma. Okay, you guys we're getting cheaper drugs. You can import drugs from wherever. Yes, and that would be Michael Boyce. I have talked to Dose right face to face, and guys, he's a nice kid, man. He knows who Billy Decker is, by the way, and a lot of people in this area, Senate District 51, know who Billy Decker is. So he's yes. Larry needs us to let's encourage him. Let's call it encourage him. Yes. I know. Insurance companies have too much power. One of the guys that I'm running against, the guy that is retiring got so much money from insurance companies over the years because he served on the finance committee and because he crafted great regulations that benefited insurance companies. That's real. And he's not a bad guy, guys. That's how politics is done. That's what we're arguing against. And I'm sorry, I got ice cube in my mouth, but that's how politics is done. That's what we are trying to change the awareness of. That's not okay. That's not actual representation. Yeah, I know you do, man. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. You're still like if you come to libertarianism from the left or the right, doesn't matter. As long as you get there, when we get to where the government, you and I agree that the government creates problems, then we have an agreement that we can work on a goal together, right? That's how liberty grows. Howie is like Bernie, real concerns but thinks bigger government And I know he does think that. He does think that. And he wants you guys voting every 5 seconds on something. All right, guys, check this out. I hope you don't mind me sharing your story, brother. And thank you for joining tonight. 42 years old, first time voting. Let them know who you voted for, brother. Let them know, because that's what we need to know. So, guys, when we talk, one of the things I want to talk about is the Old Guard New Fire group and Brian LaRusso taking a lead in this Ola Hawatma race. And guys, it is epic. These guys are watching the polls today. They've got people, 50, 60 people all over New York 19. And so coincidentally, all over Senate District 51 watching for, illegal vote tampering. And they're going to have people helping count the votes. Thanks to Cody Anderson and the Libertarian Party giving them a hand, because they certainly could not get it from their parties. Excuse me for 1 second, guys. So they couldn't get help from their party, but the Libertarian Party stepped in and gave them a hand with some things. And I think that's going to help grow this notion of liberty, that we guys, we can stake a claim on the Libertarian Party to a certain extent. We have philosophies and ideologies that we all have to agree on. The number one thing that we have to agree on, where Dakota and Ryan and Eric can agree, is that the government creates problems and we need solutions, not problems. We don't need platitudes. We need solutions. And that's what we've been lacking, guys. All right. So yeah, 42 years old, votes for the first time, goes down the line voting gold. I love that, guys. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. I know, I couldn't help it. I want to tell everybody, it was great sharing those messages with you and welcome you into being politically active, because honestly, Eric, and I think a lot of us may agree that we should make room for politics in our life. And I think other than knowing about politics and other than thinking about politics and formulating ideas that I wanted to vote for, there was no actual involvement in politics. I didn't associate with a party. I didn't have, I wasn't a big, like, oh, you should vote for this guy, you should vote for that guy. And I did a little bit when we got to the presidential elections, but I realize now, guys, that when we get down to these presidential elections, and if Joe Biden wins or if Donald Trump wins, I honestly think that overall Joe Biden backing up Cuomo with his executive orders and stuff like that, I think we would move towards a more authoritarian society, a virtuously authoritarian society, and Trump is not going to take us in that direction. So I think. But overall, their impact on our everyday lives is slightly exaggerated, because the political media complex wants to make money. And they do it, guys. They do it by making people upset, man. They literally poke their finger inside of people's reactive minds and they say, this is how we get likes and this is how we grow our advertising revenue, because people will listen to these news stories. And man, I wish that news was only an hour a night now. Like this 24-hour news cycle has hurt us. Well, I know. What, brother, thank you very much. The support and the conversation, guys, that makes a big deal. Yes, Brian is an absolute badass, man. I'm not even kidding, guys. I can't wait for you to meet him. I can't wait for us to see what we're all going to work on together in the future. He certainly supported the notion that I could have an impact on politics, and he did it with his voice and his vote. And he shared his group of friends with me and invited me to things. And he made a powerful, powerful decision that's going to benefit New York State long-term and right now, guys. I mean, I probably got, who knows how many votes I'm going to get total. I don't want anybody to be disappointed, because here's the deal. If I don't get 5% of the votes, they're not going to really report on how many votes I've got. Like maybe Otsego County will or something. But for the most part, over the course of Senate District 51, if I don't get 5% of the vote, and that's on the order of 6,000 or 7,000 votes, maybe more depending on how many people vote, they're not going to report it. But guys, I'll be able to take it. You guys know I'm an economics guy and a statistics guy. I'll be able to say, this is around the number of votes I got. And so we'll get a number out of this, and we'll get a number out of how to figure this stuff out. Well, there was some write-in. There was, brother. How are you? Thank you for joining. This is your first comments on the show, I think. Thanks, Josh. Josh and I met at Apple Converting a million years ago when I was doing some work down there. But guys, you click with people, man, and so that's what I'm doing. I clicked with Josh. I clicked with all you guys, and that's how it works. Yeah, they don't, Shelly. They right. We've talked about this. We're going to talk about it more. They don't really do news, especially the 24-hour news cycle. They give you one sentence of news, and then they give you 700 opinions on it. And those opinions, they pick people that are deliberately divisive with their opinions. They do it on purpose, guys. Guys, if you learn nothing else from me, understand what the news is anymore. Okay, it's not taking news, finding more news. They could fill up an entire hour with just events from around the country. Okay, what they do is they find the most exciting and upsetting thing. They lead that with that. They drag you through the whole half hour with that over and over again, and then they have commentary on it. And one person takes this side, and one person takes that side, and they fight a little bit in front of you, and you're supposed to get mad about it. That's what they want, and that's their winning formula now. And guys, that's crazy. Yes. Good. I met Charles Henrik. I don't know if you noticed. We did a couple podcasts together. I think that he would be an effective representative for you guys out that way, and that's good. I voted for Joe Jorgensen, and that's the other thing. Brian is a Trump guy, and a lot of the people that found my message appealing support Donald Trump, and so. Number one, even without their support of me, I was never was I anti-Trump. I just, again, we go to he's done some libertarian things. He does appear to come from outside the swamp. And I know people are going to get some libertarians, hardline, don't like hearing that. And I don't blame them. I don't. But plainly and simply, empathy and authority go hand in hand anymore. So empathetic authoritarians are not how I want my government run. I don't care if you're brash. I want less government. I want more individual rights and a refocus on individual rights. Now, has Donald Trump been perfect in that area? No. And could he be better? Yes. He should be better. Will he be better if he wins? I hope so. So I voted for Joe Jorgensen. I think that that's a safe vote in your state. If I would lived in Pennsylvania, it might be different, guys. I'm not going to lie. I might have voted for Donald Trump, and I don't even feel bad about it. Like if I could have an impact possibly by voting the way that I voted in Pennsylvania, that's what I would have done. So number one, Joe Jorgensen, for lots of great reasons. Number one, if we get her by some miracle as a president of the United States, we would see an immediate reduction in the amount of federal government that we're forced to carry. Okay, period. And guys, I don't even know like the debt. We got to fix the debt. Yeah, I was going to say about that. Yes, it is, man. So COVID-19 did offer us all an opportunity to come together, guys. And that piece of this, that's the thing that COVID-19 did that I found as a positive, that it did wake people up to politics, because here we are, politics are all of a sudden became everything. It was our main source of entertainment. We wanted a fix to the COVID thing. We got Biden promising a fix. We got Trump saying, live your lives, be safe, live your lives. Yes. Yes. Good. I don't, it's because you guys don't want to be reactive. You guys are less likely to enjoy not all of you guys though, because there's plenty of people that are coming out of your age group saying, oh my God, exaggerated news stories, this, exaggerated news stories, that, you know what I mean? It happens all the time. So I'm a big fan. I gave up cable a couple of years ago, man. I got all the news I need from my Facebook feed, from my Twitter feed. And if something particularly appeals to me, I can go read an article. It's a very simple methodology. And I can talk about the news. I'm pretty much up to date on the news as much as anybody. And that's without the 24-hour news cycle, plainly and simply. I'm as aware of the news as anyone, and that's without the 24-hour news cycle. Guys, I'm very happy about it. It calmed me down a lot because I was like, well, I'd watch Fox or I'd watch CNN, and I'd be like, you know, like you see people getting when they start arguing, man. Yes, I do feel. Yes, I think that's a possibility. I think that look at Queter's two-person race, and look at me just talking to you guys and getting a response. Like people's brains opened up a little bit thanks to COVID, you know. And the truth will set you free, brother. It will. And the truth is what? Is the truth what Joe Biden says it is? Is the truth what MSNBC says it is? Is the truth what Kamala Harris says it is? No, guys, they hardly ever talk about the truth. And guys, I don't know if any of you are on Twitter, but if you're on Twitter and you want to follow Kamala Harris or Joe Biden and Donald Trump too, like, guys, they try to condense everything into 160 letters or 220 letters. And so all they do is talk about platitudes, man. That's it. Yes, Victoria Alexander and I that was one of the shows that I kind of failed on. Especially running the write-in, there was never any thought that I could win this. And so on that note, like I wasn't raising a lot of money and I wasn't asking for a lot of money because so there were some shows that I really, 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 really wanted to do. And one of the shows I wanted to do was ranked choice voting. And Dakota kind of put it in the front of my mind. He actually asked me about what I thought about it. So I did it. And I just like, good idea. And then I did a little more research and I'm kind of like, it would be a way, and every other country on some level has it. Like there's like 6 prominent parties in Canada, 7 prominent parties in England. And so what happens is you get to pick 3 or 4 candidates, and then sometimes they have to have a revote. And to get the revote, they get endorsed by a candidate that didn't get anywhere near as many votes of them. And so they co-opt some of those issues. So that could be a better way to get better representation and get more issues on the table, right? And politics is a popularity contest, so I'm glad I did basically okay. Yes, ranked choice voting. And so that was one of the shows that I wanted to do, and that's one of the shows I never did get to do, and I feel bad about that. So, guys, there's other people that I forgot to mention and that didn't forget to mention, but like besides Robert Force, Melania Perdue, Tracy DeLello, these people came in and offered me support. Linda Nichols, even my mom ended up voting for me. And that one, when I wasn't sure she was gonna, to be honest with you, I was like, thought maybe she'd go sideways on me. And I'm just kidding. I was pretty sure she would vote for me. But so those things, that group of people, God, Pat Moxley. Oh my God, Pat, I almost forgot to mention your name. You're absolutely on my list of people that I have been blessed to meet, period. Okay. Some of you I met face to face. Some of you I've met through the internet, like Dan Humble, right? That guy has been supportive in the lobby. That guy has asked me great questions. Those things are important. We're refocusing our mental energy towards something productive when we step outside this box of letting them drive our emotions. And so that's progress. Yes, I think Michelle actually admitted that she wants to be a libertarian. And I think that after this election, we're going to do some events, Andrew. We're going to kind of grow our Otsego County party. And hopefully anybody that doesn't have a party in their county would be welcome to attend. We can cross-reference it with other parties, other county committees if they don't have a full valid county committee in their part. So we can do some group events where we can get people coming together. Dr. John Paul Sweet, guys, right from the start, that guy stepped up and said, you know what, Tim, do whatever you can. This is a good idea. That Dr. Sweet drove from Oneonta up to Herkimer, and it was perfect because it was hard. There's not a great active libertarian party in Herkimer. So to have Dr. Sweet drive up to Herkimer and have lunch with Larry and I, it was a big deal, guys. It meant something to me, right? And again, Dr. Sweet was one of the reasons why I went to the Libertarian Party, checked it out. I said, okay, this can work for me. Because like I said, I wasn't a party guy. Like I didn't enjoy it. Because Dr. Mark Barreto sent me a message today wishing me luck. Maybe he wrote me in. That's private. I don't know. You know what I mean? But guys, something happened for this campaign cycle that I'm going to keep going, man. Michelle, well, probably because she's the superintendent of your kid's school over in Norwich. That's probably why. She's literally the NAACP vice chairman, and she's a superintendent over in Norwich. And a libertarian. How do you like that? I was at a non-denominational church out of town at a kart race. The priest said that people, oh, no. We don't talk about religion when we're talking about politics. And she was served on the Oneonta City Council, and she was a great advocate. She really, I think she basically, principal. Yeah. I think she basically said she got so frustrated with how she saw things going that she resigned. And so maybe we can get her back into politics because her voice is important. She's brilliant. Yes, I believe. Principal, I was thinking superintendent or assistant superintendent, but maybe it's principal. And probably, whatever. She was a teacher for a long time in this area. She is. I did a show with her. It was really, really well attended. We had a great conversation, and she's just kind of like, and it was back when the George Floyd incident first happened. And I wanted to talk to somebody that might have different feelings about that than me. I wanted to explore the possibility that the government could help that situation. And she certainly felt like the conversation was important, and she certainly gave me a lot of time. And we had a great conversation where we talked about possible solutions. And one of the solutions I talked about, qualified immunity. I talk about, guys, if we want to move things forward, people in densely populated urban areas do not have the same gun rights as we do. They cities and localities, municipalities regulate guns so that law-abiding citizens can't even afford to have guns. It's economic bigotry, guys, and it's also racism. And I don't care. Anybody zook me if you want to. It's inappropriate. Law-abiding citizens should have access to the tools needed to protect themselves. Period. Not have them cost millions of dollars, not have everybody shunning them. It may be that our minds open up in periods of crisis anyway. Like you, I've read books. I've read thousands of books, guys. I used to be such an avid reader when I was a kid. Your mind opens up when you're in a period of trauma. Okay, so if it's emotional trauma, your mind grows during that. It creates new pathways through your brain. And COVID, George Floyd, those things, that was emotional trauma inflicted on society. And so people's pathways, their brain pathways grew. Absolutely. Well, a lot of my circle, and this is something else that we want to talk about. But let me deal with your question first. A lot of my circle said they did vote libertarian. And a lot of people said that they voted for Trump. And very few of my circle, I'll be honest, guys, I tried to reach out. And this is what we've got to talk about. So a lot of my circle voted for Biden. Not a lot of my circle, not a lot of people that talk to me about politics regularly told me they don't come to me and say they're not going to tell me they voted for Biden. And most of them wouldn't vote for Biden. I'm getting a little sideways here, guys. So how does that happen? How do we grow that circle? And so what are the reasons? What reasons did you hear? There's always if I vote for the libertarian, then my candidate doesn't get my vote. So I'm technically voting against my candidate if I vote for the libertarian. Or I'm giving my vote away, or I'm wasting my vote. And guys, I don't care who you are, that wasting my vote. And as a joke, if you want to, take a selfie and post it, I wasted my vote on Joe Jorgensen, or I wasted my vote on Donald Trump, or whatever. That's fine. Okay. That's a joke. But if you're telling people that they wasted their vote, that's probably one that I would recommend that we stay away from. I saw some communications from a lot of people about if you waste your vote, the only way to waste your vote in New York is to vote for Biden or Trump because we know Biden's going to win New York. Okay. All right. I don't like talking to people like that. It's a valid idea. Okay. To think that in a way, but the communication should go, hey, And this is how I feel, guys. I'm not just saying it. This is how I feel. Okay. This is real for me. Your vote is your voice. Okay. And if you put some thought into whoever you vote for, I literally respect whoever you decide to vote for. That's fine. Okay. If you're voting for more liberty, fine. Good. Vote for Joe Jorgensen. If you're voting for more happiness and a less intrusive, less judgmental government, vote for Joe Jorgensen. If you like some of the things that Donald Trump has done to shrink the government, fine. Good. If you want an all-inclusive, empathetic, authoritarian government, vote for Joe Biden. But if you think this out and these things are important to you, however you and I make a joke, okay, I didn't mean to like knock Biden specifically, but he can't have my vote. Okay. Never. Like the way that he operates, the way that he wants to grow the government, that can't happen for me. But if you think it through and it works for you, fine. I still respect you. That's fine. So let's shut down Cuomo. God, that would be nice, guys. And we can start tomorrow or whatever. Like, that's got to happen. We got to get rid of this guy. He's a train wreck. He's an authoritarian. He's an empathetic authoritarian, okay? Yeah, specifically the border, okay? The Libertarian Party has – people don't like unchecked immigration. And even Joe changed their messaging when it came to immigration, okay? So – and – we can't just allow unfettered immigration into the United States. We have to have some controls on it because we have a welfare state. We have a social structure that supports people that don't have money. That's why we can't allow unchecked immigration. They can just come here. I don't want to say grifting because that's not why they're coming here. A lot of them are coming here to go to work. But there are things that we can fix about immigration, right? The visa system is broken, and so we should be having two different conversations. Whenever we talk about illegal aliens and how some of them get trafficked here because they have no rights and because they're getting sold into a semi-quasi slavery, that we need to fight one way. But if someone is here on a visa and they lose their visa, they shouldn't automatically get kicked out of the country and they shouldn't automatically be thought of as illegal aliens. That shouldn't happen. We can fix that program. As libertarians, we can advocate for fixing that. Healthcare is another one, right? Healthcare is tricky because healthcare is so regulated and we've conflated the notion, guys. I think conflated is a stupid word. We've confused the notion that healthcare and health insurance are equal. They're not, okay? Fix healthcare by deregulating. Guy like Dr. Mark Barreto would love to have less regulations hanging over his head. My local doctor, I will go to Dr. Mark Barreto if I can figure out how to do it. But I have a doctor. Their regulations are constantly increasing. You know, because your doctor says this to you one time about, okay, you're doing fine taking care of your medicine. And then the next time they're like, you need to do a better job and you need to get here more often. And you know that their regulations changed and she's worried about losing her job. And so then add to that how they have to nickel and dime and detail and expense every single thing that goes on to justify to insurance companies that we're now forced to buy, which we've pulled back on. We're now forced to buy because it's over-regulated. It will be drastically less expensive if we cut back on the regulations. Doctors are human beings. They're proficient. We'll figure it out. And we need to treat them like human beings. To get properly treated, we have to out the news outlets for the poor entertainment. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Just let them be entertainment. And if you go there, know that you can laugh at them. All right. These people are so filled with self-importance on the news cycle. They're so filled with, and guys, was it Chris Matthews? It's not Matthews. What was his name? Anyways, the first moderator of the debates was horrible. He wrote those questions. Those were the worst questions ever. Those questions should not have been presented to the American people. That was embarrassing. That guy should be done. Legalize all drugs. As a libertarian, I don't argue for making all drugs legal. Deregulating marijuana so that it benefits our communities in New York State. There's a race to do it, and other states are winning. The issue with drugs, minimize the less we fight a war on drugs, though, and the more we offer people treatment on drugs, and the less we punish people for being addicted or using drugs, the better our drug system will be. Okay, well, automatically less punitive will be better for human beings, right? It will take them out of that cycle of, God, I'd really like to get help, guys. And this happens, right? This happens. One of the guys I'm running against was like, well, if we arrest people, then they get help. How about they can go get help without getting arrested? All right. So maybe I sound a little bit like a socialist, but I think it's going to be cheaper to be less punitive about drugs so that people can go get help without getting arrested. And literally, he said it, and it was hilarious. And guys, if I had been on that stage, I would have knocked out. I would have stepped into it like my 3 home runs that I got when I played softball. Yes, take away your rights. That is, don't vote for people that want to take away your rights. How do I get my roads? Guys, if we didn't have roads, we'd have flying cars. Technology will answer that question. Not even kidding. But there are community decisions for us to make, and there are state decisions for us to make. And so what New York has to take care of is we don't necessarily have to do away with roads, but we have to answer questions as to why. And this is why you should elect me. We have to answer real questions as to why it costs $10,000 a mile to build a road in Texas. And I'm using the example, a number that someone threw at me, and I don't know if it's perfectly accurate, probably isn't, but it costs 3 times as much to maintain roads in New York as it does in Texas. Go to New Hampshire, and it's like the roads are even cheaper. We've got to find answers to that. We've got to find answers right away. Government in New York is a jobs monopoly program because they've chased all the other economic opportunity out of here. I don't think that we can deny that. I don't think there's a point there to argue. We can't deny that New York State's taxation and regulation and overregulation has chased the businesses out of here. And so now what we're doing is watching the state go further in debt and hiring more people while they do it. Guys, it doesn't work, man. Economically, that doesn't work. It's what's called a vicious cycle that's going to drag us down, and it's already dragged us down. Hopefully that was me that I said something funny. Chris Wallace, thank you. And his father was a newsman, yes, and he might, yes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Says X population can vote Y. Did vote W. Doesn't play games for warlords. I voted W. I thought you were what? That's confusing. You're gonna have to bear with me or bring that to another show. I know that you're not a big fan of voting, and I know you're not a big fan of even less of a big fan of voting for a third party, if I remember correctly. Some of the debate that we had, I got to try to remember. That's the other thing. No, we fight wars for oil, man. And that the free flow of oil and to protect other sovereignty, other nation states. We're fighting wars for that. And we're paying for a greater percentage of it than the countries that we're protecting. Doesn't make any sense to me. Even if we straighten out the percentage, which that's another thing that Trump did, was straighten out the percentages associated with NATO. Yes, but they still have to get arrested, right? Or maybe Albany's made even bigger steps. I know that some counties, and that's another thing, locally we can craft better solutions starting tomorrow. We don't have to answer the dictates of the state. We can start saying, no, hey, you're not paying us our money anyway. No, thank you for more money that you're not going to pay us. And no, thank you for no back ending on maintenance that on infrastructure grants. Okay. They stop it. These infrastructure grants where they give us half the money for something and then we have to maintain it. It costs our citizens money. It's not a program we needed in the first place. It never saves us money. Never. Yes. Well, there are solutions if we take a proactive stance saying roads are too expensive in New York, fix this and fix it now. And when we look at the budgets, we can figure it out why. Yes. Well, selling pieces of the infrastructure or naming rights to the infrastructure. And Domino's would, guys, and that's the thing. That's the thing about voluntary exchange. Domino's would kick in because they rely on the roads to sell their product. They would kick in more money. And then we might have to pay more money for our Domino's pizza, but we would know, they would tell us that they're fixing the roads. So that is crowdfunding concepts like that, naming rights to infrastructure and saying, hey, big money guy, you need this more than Tim does out by the lake. Pay for it. And it will happen. It could happen. But that's a philosophical extreme. So, but there's things that we can fix first. Probably. That does seem to be the issue. That they don't spend the money up front, and that on the back end the maintenance gets crazy. But that supports the government's monopoly on road repair, their monopolistic jobs program. Yeah, we have wars, drug wars, and yeah. Okay, so all right. There we go. One of the best. Good. Yeah. So guys, let me kind of close this out because it's been about an hour, and as you guys know, my voice gets hoarse. The thank yous going out to people like Ola and Victoria and Ryan and Shelly and Eric, even Ziggy coming in and busting my chops and Michael Boyce, guys. That's right. Brian LaRusso. Oh, sorry, guys. Whew. All right, so that's what happens to my voice. It starts getting loose. Timothy Shore, Chad Carr, Linda Nichols, Pat Moxley, Warren and Shelly Yeager were coming to these shows right from the start and letting me know that they thought I was doing a good job. Guys like Shane T. Hazel, he's competing for a Senate race, came to this show and talked to you guys. Yes, absolutely. And I'm not going to be able to remember all the names, but you're there. What we did is important. The goal is to keep the notion that liberty is important, that the government is not serving us, that we can make better decisions, that we're going to make better decisions if we keep this energy moving in a direction, guys. And we will. I'm going to keep doing these things. Maybe they'll be less often. Maybe they'll be more often. We'll work with whomever wants to make New York State better. We'll work with whomever wants better representation. And so that's the thing, guys. That's why I did it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the energy that you shared with me. And we got to get right back to work tomorrow, guys, regardless of what happens tonight, regardless of who walks away the winner of the federal government crapshoot. We get back to work tomorrow and everything's going to be fine. What we can do here is way more important than what they're going to do to us down the road. Okay? Yes, Coke versus Pepsi. Guys, one last time. The Democrats and the Republicans are like, not one last time. One more time. The Democrats and Republicans are like Coke versus Pepsi. They craft arguments to build their power base so that you either buy Coke or Pepsi. And when they do it deliberately to crap on the best cola of all times, RC Cola. And you guys know it, and that's what we're working against. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to throw away the Republican Party, and it doesn't matter if you want to throw away the Democratic Party. We still got to operate RC Cola and grow liberty, and that's the bottom line. You guys have a good night. Yes, a tied electoral college vote would be, guys, that would be, could we just operate without a president for a couple months?